captivating chat. I forget how many episodes this is right now. Maybe I'm number 10. I could be wrong on that, but time flies when you're having fun. It seems like it was just yesterday. Debbie Brady, my wonderful manager, was saying, Chuck, I think it's time for you to start a live stream. And I was like, I am. Well, I guess I am because I've been enjoying this a lot. I feel surprisingly comfortable doing this. The reason I say surprisingly comfortable, because I used to have the worst stage fright in the world. But then I also remember in the days when I used to do stage acting, nothing a big no, but I did do some acting here in Los Angeles a long time ago, many moons ago. And I learned quickly that, come 8 o'clock, either you have the curtain go up or the lights go up, whatever it is, boom, I always went into place and I suddenly felt really calm. And it is just so true that, whatever's your personal business, whatever your problems, you leave those back in the dressing room and you go out there and you focus. And that's where I am now when I have that 3, 2, 1 live. Well, here in Los Angeles, it is a freezing 56 degrees. And I am sure a lot of you out there in the country are going, what? This comes from living in Los Angeles a long time. I get very spoiled by the weather here, just like anybody else who lives here for a long time. And we whine and complain on one of the few days of the years it rains or it gets below 60 degrees. Um, we're quite eccentric here. But let's see. Just had a message here. My manager asking me if I started yet. I'm going to just say yes, I did. Okay, forgive me there, but hey, it's informal. We're friends. We can be this way with each other. That's what I'm learning. So yeah, it's a rainy day in Los Angeles. It's 56 degrees, but I've also been watching the weather forecasts across the country, and I have friends around the country. I'm from the East Coast, and I grew up in Virginia. I grew up where we have normal weather. Normal weather. And where for where we actually have seasonal changes like summer, winter, fall, and so forth. Here in Los Angeles, it is perpetual summer for like at least 9, 10 months out of the year. Hold on, what's Debbie saying to me here? Okay, yes, it's on. I was getting a little message there saying she could not find me, and I thought, oh, am I just talking to my laptop and nobody is watching this? No. Okay, I'm glad to know that I have an audience here, and I just remembered I should turn on my chat here. I forgot to do that beforehand. Yes, Francine, it's freezing rain where you are. Business is shut down, schools closed. Where I grew up in Virginia, that was one of the happiest things about snow days. My mother would have the radio on. I was in a little tiny town and we had a little tiny radio station for the whole county. And that's how this was before internet and our little town didn't get mentioned on television. So we had to listen to the radio. And it was like, schools will be closed today. And I'd be like, yay, yay, yay. You can almost hear kids all over the neighborhood in their houses cheering. Such a happy memory that was. I loved snow until I had to drive in it the first time as an adult. And then the love affair was over. Anyway, I've been rambling too much about that. I don't know if you saw my show last week, but it was with the wonderful psychic medium and heart-centered remote viewer Pomona. Um, I love doing interviews, and I particularly love interviewing fascinating people. And well, Pam's my friend, but Pomona, her site is Pomona Remembers, and we had such a great interview. We had literally just met like I think the day before on the phone, just to have a little pre-show chat. And it was quite exciting to just, let it unfold naturally on the air live. Um, you witnessed a friendship forming because I'm sure she will not mind me telling you this. After the interview was over, we continued to chat on our own for quite a while, and I'm very honored to have her as my friend now. And also today, Joyce Petrus, the gifted astrologer and tarot reader, intuitive, um, she did her first show today, her first show on Mystic Soul Insights, where she did an incredible interview with Tony Ocastus, therapist Tony Ocastus. And Tony, of course, has her own channel, Tony Ocastus's Empowered Journeys. You know, we're all under the auspices of the wonderful Debbie Brady. We're just becoming a big family here. But I was so proud of her. And Joyce, if you're watching, you did a phenomenal job, just as I knew you would. I knew you would be a natural for this. I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Yes, Debbie just said Joyce first show, a big success. Uh, someone here laughing out loud, not Chuck. I don't know what that message means. Let me see. I'm just checking here my private chat. Okay, nothing there too. Okay, I'm going to go forward with the show. Yeah, it's all live. I've been assured it's okay to make mistakes live, to just be human. I must treat this like an extended Zoom conference with my friends. But anyway, I was really proud of Joyce and really proud of Pomona. I should say she started her first live stream on Saturday. So please check them both out. Um, Let's see here. What was I going to say? I've got my notes here. We, of course, had a rain day in Los Angeles. You know, one of the things I was going to say about the rain here, we will go 10 months seemingly with no rain, and then we get a whole year's worth all at once. And there was one year my sister came out here from Colorado to visit me. She wanted to spend several days at Disneyland. Well, it just happened to coincide. The night before she was going to fly out here, I saw the weather report. Massive monsoon storms for days. And my sister was like, shit. But she came out here anyway. And yes, it poured and it poured and it poured. But my sister looked at the bright side of this. There were no lines for any of the rides at Disneyland. She said it was actually one of the best visits to Disneyland she ever had. So that's finding the silver lining in the rain cloud. You know, we need to mention some industry news. I don't know if you saw about Madonna. Madonna is being sued by a fan because Madonna was 2 hours late for one of her concerts, kept the audience waiting for 2 hours. And this person apparently was quite outraged. And I admit I would be too. But this person was saying, well, they had a babysitter hired. They had to be at work early the next day. The concert was going to start and end much too late. And Madonna is being sued over it. And I was reminded of a friend of mine back in Chicago who told me a similar story just a few years ago. He said it was the dead of summertime, like blazing hot, and there was no air conditioning in the auditorium. And any of us who have been in that position knows how miserable that is. He said it was just everybody just had sweat rolling off of them. Their clothes were getting soaked, and Madonna kept waiting, kept people waiting and waiting and waiting. He said it was like an hour and 45 minutes she finally came out. And something was said about the reason there was no air conditioning was because, quote unquote, Madonna liked her audiences to be hot. Well, I would have been livid if I had been in that auditorium. Anybody who knows me knows I do not like being hot, not in that respect. Sweaty and grungy and miserable, being kept waiting. Might have considered a lawsuit myself. So anyway, that's what's going on with Madonna in the news. It may sound like a silly little dismissive thing that will be dropped, but I posted a video about this on my channel. And by the way, I love your comments. I'm learning so much from all of you. Please keep the commentary coming, and I'll do my best to answer you back. But somebody said that a ticket with the appointed time of the concert stamped on that ticket will constitute a legal agreement, like a contract. That's a contract with the artist and the ticket buyer that the show will start at that time. And the person pointed out to me that this could very well hold up in court. So it's going to be fascinating to watch how this unfolds. I mean, these things can go on for months, even years, but it would definitely set precedents. I think it would set a lot of precedents for other entertainers, a lot of entertainers who would be a lot more careful about starting their shows on time. Hopefully, we would benefit from that. I'm just looking to see if I have any comments here. Yeah, Debbie, I saw that too about DeSantos quitting the race and surprise, surprise, endorsing Donald Trump. But we'll probably talk about that tomorrow on Dr. Whimsy Anderson's show. I double dip. I do my live stream here on Mondays, and on Tuesdays, I partner with the wonderful Dr. Whimsy Anderson and her show Taco Tuesdays. There's just not enough superlatives I can say about my dear friend Dr. Whimsy because she's the one who got me into this whole delicious business in the first place, got me connected with Debbie. It's the reason I'm doing videos, got my own channel, why I'm doing these live streams. So, anyway, check us out tomorrow, Tuesdays, Taco Tuesdays, and we do get into a lot of political discussions on there. I don't do it on this show so much, at least I haven't. I mean, my show is growing, it's evolving, taking different directions, but for now, my focus is on my first love, show business, history, industry news, old Hollywood stories, Lucille Ball stories, which I have. But I thought, well, here, what am I going to talk about today? And this is another show business story that personally involves me. Today is the anniversary of the 2008 passing of Heath Ledger. And I certainly don't want to imply that I knew Heath Ledger. What I just saw a message pop in here. Sorry about that. That's what that ding was. I don't want to imply that I knew Heath Ledger, but for about 5 minutes, his universe and my universe touched bases. It was when I was in the health industry and my business in West Hollywood wasn't my business. I worked there. But anyway, Heath Ledger came into the store. I had had a chance once before to see him in person. It was when I was going to a lot of the Screen Actors Guild screenings, during award season when stars would come out after the movie to do question and answers. And it was a screening of Brokeback Mountain, which was, of course, in what, 2005, 2006. And I had seen the movie before, but I wanted to see Heath Ledger and Michelle Williams, who were set to speak afterwards. Well, just before the movie was about to start, this woman sheepishly walked out on stage in front of the microphone. And I could tell she was a little scared because she announced to us, I regret to inform you that Mr. Ledger and Miss Williams will not be here tonight. Michelle and their young daughter have the flu, and he felt it was best that he stay home to take care of them. And of course, there was a a little bit of groan from the audience, but of course, how can you argue with a man who wants to stay home and take care of his wife and his baby in their time of need? So anyway, flash forward. This was let's see, this was like January, February. I think it was early February of 2007. He came into my store and I immediately recognized him. I'm 6'2", he was like 6'1", 6'2", so we were about the same height, similar build, a lot younger than me, obviously. But he had a mustache. And I also was surprised by the number of tattoos he had on his arms. I was under the impression actors should not have a lot of tattoos or any, because that could interfere with your roles. Of course, now I know you can cover that up with makeup and they can do digital things to cover up tattoos. But that surprised me about him. And also in person, I found him a little, he was kind of quirky. I'd seen him on TV before, kind of a quirky personality, a little, kinetic energy, a little twitchy, but just such a warm, sweet man, very friendly, no pretense. And he made very direct eye contact with me. which I really like when I talk to people. And I also feel that when you're making direct eye contact, it's like you're exchanging soul energy. So yeah, I had that experience of him. Strong direct eye contact. We were speaking, and I'm trying to remember what all he wanted, but it came up that his young daughter was dealing with some diaper rash, and I suggested to him calendula cream because it's a homeopathic remedy, very very gentle, very safe, certainly safe for a baby. And I said it's wonderful for skin irritations, diaper rash. He was, oh, thank you, thank you. He was very appreciative of that. And that, I know that does not sound remarkable. It sounds like the most unremarkable story, but for 5 minutes, I felt because we had that eye contact, we had that exchange of energy, and he had not started working on the Batman movie where he played the Joker, undoubtedly his most famous role, because he posthumously won an Oscar for the role. He was brilliant, as we all know, anybody who's seen that performance. But knowing what a method actor he was, and, because of my own acting training, I could see on screen that there were times it was dangerous. He went like too far. Like he had gone so far out of his own psyche, his own personality, and he had gone into such darkness. Now it equated to a breathtaking performance. But as I sat there in the movie theater, I thought, I cannot believe that's the same man I met a few months earlier. I couldn't believe it. And then the day he died, I still remember that morning when it was announced, so accidental drug overdose. I was hit with a lot of sadness. As I said, I was 5 minutes, I get that. But when you meet someone like that and you look in their eyes, you feel like you've somehow known them. They've touched your life in some way. That's why I use the expression, our universes. We were in the same universe for 5 minutes together. So I was hit with such sorrow, especially such great talent. And that was the day in the year 2008. And I mentioned this in a video I posted today. I met a woman at a actress friend's birthday party about roughly 2 years later. And it came up in conversation. This woman was Australian, by the way. And it came up in conversation that, oh, yeah, she was very close with Heath Ledger. And she was telling me some personal things about him and telling me what a marvelous artist he was. And she said, well, he left me his brushes and his paints in his will. I have his brushes, something very personal and very dear to him. And then she said something really blew me away. She said, Heath was very spiritual. He was psychic. He was intuitive. And he said to her, I know my life is going to be short. I'm not going to be here much longer. So I just want to throw that out. That's my little Heath Ledger story on this anniversary. And I thought of another story I can tell you, my Hollywood experiences. I had a friend out of the blue yesterday from back east message me because she knows I've met a number of Hollywood stars, and she said, "Did you ever know Lois Nettleton?" Many times I get these questions and I go, "No, I never met that person." I said, and I put in big capital letters, "Yes." This is one time I can happily answer your question. Yes, I did know Lois Nettleton. Lois Nettleton, the wonderful actress, was my neighbor. She lived in my neighborhood in West Hollywood on Kings Road, near Kings Road and Fountain. I was on Hacienda Place at the time, like about 2 blocks away. But I got to know her well enough that we had, it's that thing where it's more than an acquaintanceship, but it's not quite a full friendship, but we knew each other well enough to have wonderful conversations. And Lois was best known for an episode of The Twilight Zone called The Midnight Sun. I think it has been ranked as one of the top 3 to 5 favorite episodes of all time of The Twilight Zone. It's the one where the sun was coming closer and closer to the earth. And Lois was an artist, if you know the episode, and she was painting. And at one point, the mercury thermometer, the glass bursts, and the mercury starts shooting out, and all the paint is melting off of her canvases, and she and this older woman are sweltering and hot. And invariably, I always end up seeing that episode during one of our big heat waves here in Los Angeles, which usually happens like August, September, sometimes early October. We'll get up to like 110 degrees, and I cannot help but think of that episode and how good those two actresses were. I mean, God, you believed Lois and that actress were just dying in the heat. It was so real. So of course I had to ask Lois about it. When I do talk with celebrities, I always try to observe celebrity etiquette, try not to bring up stuff like their movies, their TV shows, blah, 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 too much. I always like to keep it personal and about them, and I think maybe that's why maybe I get celebrities to open up to me because they feel they can trust me and I'm not going to exploit them. And Lois was like that, and it finally got to the point where I could ask her about that episode. I felt comfortable to do it, and I said, "Well, you got to tell me, what tricks did you use? I mean, was it really sweltering hot on the set like that? Oh my god!" And she said, "Well, no, not really, not really." She said, "Well, we would shut the air conditioning down between takes. Well, I think they shut it down during takes also, but she said they would intermittently shut off the air conditioning just to make it feel warmer for a while, but never unbearable, just enough to give them the impetus of what it's like to be hot." And she said the biggest trick was just before a scene would be shot, a makeup artist would come with a pump bottle and just start spraying water on them, to look like they were perspiring. And then Lois said to me, "Chuck, we were just damn good actors." That's all it was. There were no special effects. We were just damn good actors. And I said, "Yes, you were." But Lois was a very gracious, humble woman, and she was quick to say, "That actress I worked with, wasn't she wonderful?" I could tell Lois couldn't remember her name, and that's to be excused because this is what, more than 50 years ago when they did the episode. But Lois had so much praise for that older actress and how good she was. And I could tell they had a very supportive working relationship with each other because, boy, that chemistry comes across in that episode. So that's just my other little show business story. It's not so much industry news, but I thought it'd be something to throw out today because in my promos, I always promise industry news and stories of old Hollywood. So that's kind of sort of old Hollywood. I don't think of it as old Hollywood, something that happened in 1964, but then I was in my generation. That's not that long ago. To other people, that is ancient history. Let's see. I'm just looking to see if I have any other notes here. Yes. Well, I always promise a Lucille Ball story. And I was thinking, now what am I going to talk about today? I always have Lucy stories, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I worked with my dear friend Bart Andrews, who was the author of the I Love Lucy book, which had many, many printings. I think it was in print for more than 25 years. And he and I worked together on a sequel. This was after Bart had suffered a stroke. It had impaired his writing abilities. And so Bart said, you love this as much as I do. And frankly, you know it as well as I do. I'm going to provide you with my research and I will assist you. But I think you can write this. Now, what happened with the book is another story for another video. We fell victim to politics with CBS and another individual. I will not say her name, but she created some trouble for us. CBS created some trouble for us. And when we got as far as the senior editor of Random House, and it was the money people that shot the book down because at the time the publishing industry was not in a good place. And I learned some lessons here. When you're going to write a book, write nonfiction, write fiction, nonfiction, because when you do nonfiction, You often have licensing involved. You've got to pay rights for photographs, legal rights. And in a case like this, it would have also required a team of lawyers to comb through the book for any potential libel. It's unbelievably complicated. Anyway, to get around to the point, that's why I have all of this stuff in my head about Lucille Ball, I Love Lucy, Desi Arnaz. But I thought today, let's see how much time I have. I have a few minutes here. It's Ann Sothern's birthday. Now, a lot of you may be saying, who's Ann Sothern? Well, Ann Sothern was once a very big star, the 1930s and 40s. And when Lucy first came to Hollywood in the early 30s, uh, they struck up an immediate friendship. And this was when Ann was already an established star, and Lucy was nothing but a little $50 a week contract player. But nonetheless, that just did not matter. They were both women, loved each other, and what they had was just a down-to-earth friendship. And it was when Lucy rented a house on Ogden Drive in West Hollywood, and she rented this little house with her brother, Fred, and they could barely afford it, but their great dream was to bring their mother, their grandfather, and their cousin Cleo to come out to Hollywood to live with them so they could all to be together under one roof the way they once upon a time had been in Celeron, New York, before tragedy forced them out of their home. So the house was not much to look at the time. And Lucy asked Anne for advice, and Anne came over, looked around, and said, okay, I know you don't have a lot of money, so here's what I'm going to suggest. Get yourself some white enamel paint. Paint all the furniture white enamel, and we're going to paint the walls sky blue, and we're going to get some blue throw rugs, and it's going to look so fresh and clean and open, and it's going to look a lot richer than it actually is for so little money. And so Lucy took Anne's advice, and their friendship endured throughout the years as Lucy's own star rose, and they were peers by the time of the 1940s. Come the time of the 1950s, when Lucy started a little show you may have heard of called I Love Lucy, and the show took off into the stratosphere, and within 4 months was the number one show on television. And Lucy and Desi were catapulted into a superstardom, because you have to remember, this is when movies were on the decline and television stars were becoming the big thing. So there was a period where Lucille Ball literally was the biggest star in Hollywood. She was bigger than a lot of her movie star contemporaries. So Ann Sothern, well, who was about the same age, both of them were in their early 40s. It was that age where, at the time at least, it was very difficult. It was starting to become a problem, for an actress of that age to continue working. Certainly the ingenue days were over. And Lucy persuaded her friend Anne to take the leap over into television. And this was when Lucy and Desi, of course, they had their company, Desi Lou, which originally was just for their one television show. Well, by 1953, they were ready to branch out and start producing shows for other people, such as Danny Thomas. And Lucy persuaded Anne to do a series called Private Secretary. And I don't know if you've ever seen it. I think there's some episodes on YouTube. It doesn't get played that much anymore. It was an interesting vehicle for Anne, because not only was she in her early 40s, she had also started gaining a lot of weight. And so if you watch the show, she was always dressed in black. That old idea that black makes you look thinner. So she certainly subscribed to that belief. And so she was always dressed in black, and they always managed to have her standing behind filing cabinets or behind desks or anything to disguise her weight. And from what I understand, Anne could not always be the nicest person during this period. Barbara Eden had a story. I heard this personally from Barbara Eden when I went to a convention it was year before last. She was signing genie bottles. I don't know if you saw that. I showed mine on a Whimsy show. Maybe I'll bring mine out next week. I should have had it with me now. But she told the story in a question and answer. It was her first acting job. And apparently Anne was very, very jealous of this beautiful, young, blonde woman that Barbara Eden was. She couldn't help that. That's just what she was. And Barbara said, it was very heartbreaking for her. She felt bullied. Um, and then her next acting job was I Love Lucy, which I'm sure you know, the country club dance, Barbara Eden, my mother told me to pick you, that episode. And Barbara Eden said that Lucy was so sweet and so kind and so supportive. There's even a famous story about the dress she was going to wear on the show. And Lucy said, "Are you happy with that dress? I think you should take that off." And Barbara thought, uh-oh, uh-oh. It turns out Lucy wanted the dress because she wanted to make it more special for Barbara. She wanted to hand stitch rhinestones onto it. And that's what she would do in her dressing room on her lunch break because she wanted Barbara to look really beautiful on the show. Now, what a contrast. But anyway, I didn't mean to get too far off the track there because with Ann Southern, if you know the Lucy show, in the 1960s. Ann Southern did a lot of guest appearances. It was particularly when Vivian Vance started cutting back on her appearances because Vivian was living in Connecticut at the time, happily married, loving her life there, but she would commute to LA. I think 4 days a week to do the Lucy shows. Well, she was getting tired of that. So Lucy started having her old pal Ann Southern on as her cohort, where she played a character called the Countess, kind of a faux countess, but nonetheless, that was the running joke. She was pretending to be something of royalty when the truth was she was broke and her real name was Rosie. But she and Lucy had a magic together. I mean, I think second only to Vivian Vance as a comic partner. They had a telepathy with each other, a timing. They had such love for each other. They could be so goofy and silly together. Um, I jumped the track there. I should have mentioned that Ann Southern did the first episode of the hour-long Lucy Desi Comedy Hour specials, and if you've ever seen that, they were marvelous. That, by the way, is the only one of the installments that was an hour and 15 minutes long. The show was so good, they were in the editing room trying to trim it down, and they tried to pad it out to an extra hour and a half. No, that didn't work. They tried cutting back to an hour. It just was missing. It needed to be an hour and 15 minutes. So they got special permission from CBS to air it that way. But she and Ann Southern did this routine. As you know, nobody did drunk better than Lucy. Anybody's ever watched Vita Vita Vegman? Well, in this one, it was they were in Cuba. Yes, it's about how Lucy and Desi met. They were in Cuba and they got thrown in jail. And there was a water pitcher. And unbeknownst to them, someone had poured like vodka or whatever into that water pitcher. It was something very alcoholic. And they're there drinking water and they're just getting progressively more drunk. It is just a master class, whether you're doing comedy or drama, on how to play drunk. And later, Lucy guested on Ann's show, and they did something that today would probably be considered politically incorrect, where they were getting quite high on pills, medication. In this case, it was sleeping pills. It was being played for laughs. Today, I don't think you could do that. But anyway, they were playing it for laughs, how they had both taken too many sleeping pills, not lethal or anything like that. It's just they were, all over the place, woozy and falling over each other. And again, it's a master class in acting on how to play something like that. And on the Lucy show, getting back to that, hey, this is live, folks. I got ahead of my story. On the Lucy show, of course, Ann Southern did many guest appearances. And there was even talk when Vivian Vance was going to permanently leave. Hi, Joyce. Oh, no, it's Tawny. Tawny. Hi, Tawny. Thank you for joining me here. Let's see. I'm trying to look through some of my notes here. I'll look at this after I finish the story. It was talked about Ann Southern being Vivian Vance's replacement, when she was going to leave the show permanently. And the big problem here, star ego and Southern demanded equal co-star billing, where it was basically going to be the Lucille Ball and Southern show. Well, as you can imagine, Lucy had to say a firm no on that one. And I'm sure it was a regrettable no because she clearly loved working with Anne, but not under those circumstances. And I think Anne also wanted a lot of money, a lot more money than Vivian Vance, which also was a problem. But Anne and Lucy kept their great friendship, and it went right up to Oscar night of 1989. Lucy died 3 weeks after her appearance on the show. But Anne Southern had received her one and only Oscar nomination. And it was for Best Supporting Actress that year for The Whales of August. And she was in the audience. And one of the reasons Lucy wanted to be a presenter on the Oscars when they invited her to come on with Bob Hope was so she could be there that night with Anne. She very much wanted Anne to win the Oscar. And of course, it didn't happen. But what a photo opportunity that would have been, those two together. So that was probably the last time they ever saw each other. And I do know that Anne would get on the phone with Lucy in those last year or so, and she was still proposing projects to Lucy, things to do. And Lucy had had her heart broken very badly by the failure of her final series, Life with Lucy, and she had become a recluse in her home. She was convinced that people didn't want to see her anymore. And when Anne would try to persuade her, Lucy would just say, "No, they don't want to see us anymore. They don't want to see two old ladies like us anymore, and get over it." And so that's what Anne reported. And, and of course, I personally would have loved to have seen them work together again. Anyway, let me look at my comments here before I go. Yes, I totally agree, Sarah, that Lucy and Carol Lombard never acted together. I mean, their styles were so similar. You can certainly see the great influence Carol Lombard had on Lucy. I've mentioned that in some of my other videos. I'll go further into it. But Lucille Ball on a talk show in the 70s, I think it was the Dinah Shore show. Dinah said, "Lucy, who was your greatest comedic influence?" And without missing a beat, Lucy said, "Carol Lombard." Carol Lombard. Oh, God, I would have loved to have seen them work together. I wish there was even a photograph of the two of them together, which is a very surprising thing. Um, I have a friend who collects Hollywood memorabilia, and he bought a large series of photos from a photographer who was at the Selznick Studios and at RKO, where Lucy and Carol both were. And he swears to me somewhere lost on a contact sheet somewhere in thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures. There is one of them together, but we've never been able to find it. It's almost like looking for a needle in a haystack, but if it ever does, I'll let you know. I'm just looking here. Uh, oh yeah, I'm looking here what the comments are. Let me go back. Oh yeah, Dorothy Kilgallen. Yes. Now that we're running out of time here. I think that would be a great topic to bring up on a future show, and I could even do a video about her, Dorothy Kilgallen, the great reporter, as was noted here. Orson Welles considered her the best journalist ever. I forget all of the circumstances. Frankly, I'd need to do a little research myself, but supposedly she knew too much. I think it might have been something to do with the mafia, something to do with a noted politician. I don't know, but her death was considered very mysterious, and it never has been fully solved to the best of my awareness. Maybe somebody could chime in here. Yeah, Sarah's saying here Sarah, you said it's not a mystery to anyone who doesn't have their head in the sand. Um, hmm. Had an affair with Johnny Ray. I don't know if you're talking about Dorothy Kilgallen. Uh, Johnny Ray. Now now honestly, I'm surprised if Johnny Ray was ever involved with any women. I mean, the man was, from all accounts, I know someone who knew Johnny Ray, and it's no secret to say this. So it's not like I'm outing the man. He was quite gay, but so I don't know who they were referring to here. I'm looking. Um, I don't think you're referring to Orson Welles, are you? Let me see. I'm just going through some notes here. Um, yeah, sorry here. This is live, but I just want to make sure that I get all my comments here. Um, so I saw the mention about Orson Welles, Dorothy Kilgallen. Um, hmm. So I don't know who you're referring to had an affair with Johnny Ray. I don't know if you'll, but we can certainly talk about that on another show. Oh wait, Sarah said, remember the scene where Lucy and Viv got trashed baking their cake? Oh my God. Yes. That is so funny. Oh, the chocolate, and I could be wrong on this, me, who claims to be the Lucy expert, but I think that's the one where they lost a contact lens in the cake, and they were trying to take it apart. Oh, I tell you, whenever I am down, whenever I need a mood lift, I just put on Lucy. It's better than any kind of therapy. Let me see here. Yes, as Sarah said, if Viv didn't get equal billing, Anne sure didn't deserve it either. Yes, I agree, and Lucy certainly agreed with that. Uh, oh, wait, wasn't Anne the one to take her to see Viv right before she died? You know, I know no, I know who that was. That was Mary Wicks. It was Mary Wicks who took Lucy to see Vivian. She was living just outside of San Francisco at the time when she was dying, and it was Mary Wicks who took Lucy. And from all accounts, it was a very emotional time. There was a lot of laughing, a lot of hugging, and a lot of crying. And it was the last time they were ever together. Let's see. Let's see here. Oh yeah, okay. Brenda said, "Yes, I heard Johnny Ray and Dorothy had an affair." And I was quite surprised to hear that. Well, I certainly can't claim to be privy to Johnny Ray's life. I know I had the friend I'm talking about was an older man who was gay, and more or less implied he and Johnny had been together. He assured me Johnny Ray was quite gay, but then sure, he could have been flexible, he could have been bisexual, I don't know, it's not for me to say, but that's interesting, I never heard about him and Dorothy Kilgallen being involved together. Um, it's maybe it was just about companionship, I don't know, I'd like to know more about that, I'd be interested in maybe doing some reading, and yes, Sarah, yes, quite gay, yeah, okay. How else can I say it? Let's see here, I've never heard. Oh, handpick waving. Thank you. Let's see. Any other comments from people before I go? Anything you want to talk about? Anything I haven't touched upon, or maybe I've touched upon too much here? Let me know. I'm just scrolling through the comments here. I'll give you just a moment. But we've gone on a little longer today, but that's okay. That's the beauty of a YouTube channel. It's flexible. I set my sights on doing 30 minutes, but last week it went on to close to an hour because we were having such a great conversation with Pomona. And today this has been a little bit of fun, a little bit of fun. So if nobody else has anything else to say, I'm going to sign out for now. I thank you so much. Oh, Pomona, thank you. Thank you. Yes, this has been fun. So I'm going to sign out for now. Um, Please like and subscribe my channel, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles. And I also have a little sister channel going now for my cat, Sasha. Sasha's Siamese Secrets. And that one I'm still kind of figuring out as I go. And I've got wonderful guidance from my manager, Debbie, on that. if any of you have cats, you know it's very hard to get more than 17 seconds of usable video footage at any one time. So, if any of you have suggestions for me on how to photograph cats, how to engage cats on the camera, I would love to hear that, especially for my little Siamese. Let me see here. I'm looking at comments here. Uh, oh, yeah. This Brenda was suggesting to me about a video on YouTube called "The Reporter Who Knew Too Much About Dorothy's Murder," or we shall say alleged murder, because we don't know quite that for fact. But yes, I will check that out. Thank you so much, Brenda. Let's see. Sarah said, Chuck, when is the video with Lucy and Desi stories post 1960? I got to think. I've got so many videos I've posted about them and where I've touched upon their lives post 60. But that's a good suggestion. Maybe I should do something more focused on that. Go into direct stories about their relationship post 60 because it was quite amazing. I there's certainly no secret that Lucy and Desi never got over each other, despite the fact they were married to others. They they kept their close friendship going. Desi once said in an interview in the early 80s that he and Lucy spoke at least 2, 3 times a week on the phone. And Lucy more or less said similar things too. Maybe she's being a little more discreet in interviews, but they were close. Desi was constantly advising Lucy on her career. And, I'll go into that. I'll go into that later. I think it's amazing. It is amazing. And I can't remember where I told the story, if I told it in one of the live streams here or I told it in a video about um, when Desi was dying and Lucy Arnaz called her mother and said, Mom, if you want to talk to him, you better do it now. He's going to be around much longer. And Lucy Arnaz held the phone to Desi's ear and he was very weak. He could barely hold his head up, even hold his eyes open. And it was just Lucy going, Desi, I love you. 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 And Lucy Arnaz could hear this. And Desi very weakly said, I love you too. And according to Lucy Arnaz, he very shortly after the words closed his eyes and he slipped into a coma. And he died 2 days later. And so basically, Lucy was the last person he ever spoke to. And the last thing he ever heard was Lucy telling him she loved him. So yeah, I'll go into that a lot more. Any other comments here? Let's see. Oh yeah, I asked Pomona's giving me advice here. I asked Scout before I film him. Yeah, I tried that with Sasha, asking her permission, and Sasha's like, cats, especially Siamese. Let me see. What else is on here? Oh, no, no, Brenda, that's okay. Yeah, yeah, I know Dorothy's murder is alleged. Sorry. No, nothing to apologize for. Please, please, nothing to apologize for. It's just that when I'm on the air on a show like this, I try to be careful with my language. Invariably, we say things we shouldn't, but I know we're supposed to be careful. That's why I use the word alleged. But please know that was nothing at you. Please, I appreciate what you said. Brenda said, yes, Lucy and Desi never stopped loving each other. Uh, I consider them to be one of the greatest love stories in all of humanity. I really do. And I don't say that lightly because Lucy and Desi, they literally affected the world. They changed the world. I Love Lucy has played to more than 3 billion people in, I think it's 78 countries in over 7 decades. Just as recently as a month ago, the entertainment news magazine Variety did a ranking of the 100 greatest television shows of all time in systematic order, named I Love Lucy the #1 show of all time. So yes, Lucy and Desi changed the world through their love and their soulmate connection. That's why I consider it one of the greatest love stories of all time. So Anyway, I just thank you all for joining me. I send my love to you. Southern Girl, do you have a funny Desi story? I do, but we're running out of time right now, and I'd like to think about that one. I mean, my God, that's like saying who's your favorite child? I mean, there are tons of funny Desi stories, but why do I say that for a future show, or I'll make a video about it. Any other comments before I go? Anything? I'm just looking through names here. I just want to send my love to all of you and my gratitude. I'm so appreciative of people joining me on this little venture here. This is still very new to me. I'm learning as I go. Um, I started a little earlier than Joyce and Pam and Tawny, but now they're doing their shows, and I, I keep saying to them, anything that I've gone through, anything I can share with you, I'm here for you. We're going to just learn and grow together. And we're all like the children of Debbie Brady, our manager, and we're the siblings. Let's see here. I just want to check, see if there's anything else here. Oh, Joyce, love to you too. Oh, thank you, Joyce. Anyway, love to everybody. Let's see. I'm going to say goodbye. I said like and subscribe Chuck's Captivating Chronicles, and if I may, Sasha's Siamese Secrets. Like and subscribe that too. And I will be here next week. Thank you all so much. Oh, wait, something else pop in? Yes. Pomona's sending you love. I send love right back to you. Okay. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.